Thank you very much, Andrew. Great presentation, and three great presentations, in fact. Where to start? Miss Nam, some great stats there that really shows what a power Korea is and what opportunities are there for exporters. And you compared it to the size of the country, which was astounding. But regardless of the size, to have such a big economy and great opportunities for exporters is fascinating. Desi, I could listen to that story all day long. I was in the distillery in October. Fascinating to see. I have no idea what it looks like now. It must have really moved on if the launch is going to be in autumn 2023. But it's fascinating, a real privilege to get in to see the construction as it happened, and it's a real privilege to support you, of our team in market team in Korea to support you. And often when you hear about what Invest NI does, you see the FDI highlights in the news and things like that. And often we don't get to tell our story. We've got a really great, competent team across APAC, but what we're interested in tonight is Susie and David in Korea. Really competent team who managed to get that product in market quickly. So it's great to be able to tell that. Andrew, we've been working on this project for quite a while now, and we'll both be in Sejong on Monday. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. But it's fantastic to see these relationships come together between the two cities of Sejong and Belfast, and then the wider implications of the relationship between South Korea and Northern Ireland. It really gives us a reason and a foothold to make that link and building those relationships. So we have some questions. Before the questions, I just want to plug something, which is, I think, there's quite a few companies online now, and I recognize quite a lot of them, and it's going to be very relevant. It's the Export Health Check on the Invest NI website. So it's a tool that you can use to assess your business's existing exporting capability. It's a few short questions, and you answer those, you'll be given a tailored guide, and that will give you the tools to develop your own bespoke export strategy. You can go on the InvestNI website and just search for Export Health Check, or go to investni.com/export. And just before we go to questions, one more little plug about the Smart Cities mission we plan to do later this year. We plan to take a group of Smart Cities companies over and make some trade connections and shore capabilities. With a focus on Sejong, but of course we'll be looking all over Korea. So keep your eyes peeled for more information on that coming out. So let's go straight to questions. I think Andrew had to go as he's traveling at the moment. David's here, Susie's here, Desi's here, and is Miss Nam with us? I think Miss Nam might have had to go as well. Sorry?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here, Miss Nam. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on the panel, and thank you for your presentation. So let's get stuck in to the first question, which is, hi, I'm in the medical industry, rapid self-testing diagnostics. How difficult, in your opinion, is it to get over the medical regulatory system in South Korea? That's maybe one for Miss Nam or David Bay, who's got a strong pharmaceutical background. Who would like to take that up?
I'll probably take it since I have the one experience life science. So yeah, so I've been working in the life science previously before working for InvestNI, and I'll be honest, I was working with the injectable solution products, but I do have a small experience with the diagnostic for Corona kits when the start of the COVID. So the straight answer is no, it's not that difficult because a lot of the FDA regulation comes from European pharmacophobia. So based on that, if you're already exporting to different EU regions, you have EU GMP and follows the regulation, then normally Korea has a very set of regulation that is very identical to that. And this really depends on the product and depends on the medical device, which class type specification it is. And most likely a lot of them goes to the class specification type 2. And normally the registration takes only about a month, or maximum, if you need a clinical trial, is about 2 months, I would say. So it doesn't take that long. And also, it really depends on the importer as well. So normally, you will need to have your entity or having a partner in Korea who will be able to register that locally because they do have to deal with the Korean, what is it, Ministry of Food and Safety. So that will be the important point. And overall answer, no, it's not that difficult for the registration.
Thanks, David. This next question looks like it was planted, but I promise you it wasn't. And this is one for you, Desi. And it was popped. I think you kind of answered this. You pretty much did answer this, but it was popped in before you made this point. But how did you establish the link to selling in Korea? Was it via InvestNI? Are you listed on the Kotra website marketplace?
Yeah, good question. Probably preempted some of the points in the slides. But yeah, like getting a link to selling into any country can happen in different ways. For example, we're attending a large trade show in Germany, Provine, coming up. So sometimes you meet people at trade shows like that, and you can get a link into selling into a country through those. But in this specific case, it was purely through InvestNI. I had a conversation with some of your colleagues and headquarters, learned about the new team being set up in South Korea, and was linked straight into Susie and David. Yeah, so without the guys and their support in this specific instance, it's unlikely we would be selling into South Korea right now. So it was purely through InvestNI, and I do my best as to work with a lot of the regional teams. InvestNI have a lot of teams set up across the world ready to support with these sorts of things. Asia Pac is a big market for us, so working closely with the team there. But there's teams set up across the world to support with these sorts of things as well.
Thanks, Desi. And the last bit, are you listed on the Kotra website marketplace?
The product is literally on its way to South Korea right now. It's due to arrive in the next couple of weeks. So as of now, no. But it will be on shelves sort of April time. So maybe then, but right now not.
Yeah, I think that's refers to a platform, does it, David? The Kotra website marketplace?
So I just like to add to that is that Kotra is an organization that is very identical to InvestNI. So basically what InvestNI we do is we help the NI companies to export to Korea. Vice versa, Kotra does separate, allowing Korean companies to export to different regions. But however, since we have this similarity that we have a lot of resources together, that there's a lot of programs we can co-op together. So I don't think there is a website where I do know that some of the Korean companies do list the importers to the Korean Trade Export Association. So this is something that we need to talk a little more to make a different program together with the Kotra so that both nation has the best economical benefit for each other.
Thanks, David. Susie, do you want to come in really quickly and comment on how you connected with Desi and the process to getting the product into market?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So it actually leads to question number 3, I think.
Oh, haven't got there yet. There we go.
But
Go for it.
yeah, so what I did in finding a distributor for Desi and Belfast Distillery would be in the sequence of looking at KWSIA, which is the Korean Wine and Spirits Import Association. It's an institution in Korea, and I looked through their members, and I looked for suitable distributor candidates which met the credentials that Belfast Distillery wanted in the first place. So A would be the size of company, so that it's not an MNC, but it's not understaffed as well. B would be the whiskey handling part of the company's portfolio. So we would be happy with a company that handles too much of other whiskeys. 3 would be that the existing sales presence in online and off trade channels within Seoul and in other rural parts of South Korea. And so I looked through the memberships of the KWSIA, and then after that, I looked through my personal network to see which companies can be a good fit for Belfast Distillery, and that was how it worked with Golden Blue.
Thanks, Susie. Desi, are you allowed to say anything about the value or size of the initial order?
Yeah, sure. There was some press releases recently which referred to it. So the first order was for 10,000 bottles of McConnell's Irish whiskey, which is fantastic. It's a good initial order. Obviously, South Korea is a pretty big country, and as Susie's captured really some of the things that we look for as a business pretty well. There, so the presence of Golden Blue sales teams across the country really. So yeah, first container of whiskey is on its way to South Korea right now, 10,000 bottles. So we're hopeful that that's the first step on a long-term partnership. Like I talked around, Irish whiskey is a you have to be patient in Irish whiskey. It's a long-term business. So we're hopeful that it's the first step on a very long successful market for McConnell's.
Thanks, Desi. I'd say they go through that in no time, and there'll be a second container on the seas soon. Okay, look, we're a bit over time. One last question. Is there anything to make note of when conducting business in South Korea, e.g. business etiquette? Maybe Miss Nam or David, could you comment on that one?
Yes, I can do it too. Or Miss Nam, would you like to comment on it?
Oh, you first.
Okay, so basic business etiquette in Korea. So Korea is very fast moving when it comes to business, especially B2B. So sometimes they will look for your reply within a day or even in a couple of hours if you're in the same time zone. So there's that part. And I guess it's kind of a funny way of saying it, but a lot of people think a lot of the Korean companies are from Japan. Like I met a foreigner who asked, "Is the Samsung from Japan?" So don't ask those kind of questions. They're gonna be offended. So I guess that's one of the funny business etiquette that you can know about in Korea. But overall, Korean companies are very internationally oriented. They all speak English when they do international business, so language shouldn't be a barrier. Besides that, everything seems to be very similar to any others. Do you have any other comments, Ms. Nam?
I'm pretty very same with what Libby said, but like you said, like Koreans are very business oriented, so not like in the UK. So it is all okay to start from talking about business. It's not okay here, but in Korea it is all okay. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Thank you very much, guys. I think I'm having a technical failure here. My webcam's not on. But thank you, everyone, for your presentations. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Miss Nam. Thank you, Desi. Thank you, Andrew. See you on Monday. If you need anything from us, please get in touch. Our contact details are on the Invest&I website in the Asia Pacific section. Thank you very much for joining us this evening and this morning. Have a good day.